At the beginning of the film, we see Max, whose life is completely ruined. He consumes drugs all day and graffiti on walls at night, drawing pictures, etc. To understand why his life has become this way, we have to go back to his childhood. Max was a foster child. He was adopted by a couple who had also adopted other children. Among these children, Max was the most special to a boy. Even though they were not related by blood, he was more like a brother to Max. They couldn't live without each other. Then one day, they had to separate because Max's stepbrother had to go to college away from the city. This deeply saddened Max. Then his brother explained, "I will keep visiting, and after 4 years, we will live together. I will never leave you alone again." This comforted Max, but just a few days after he left for college, Max saw his parents crying because his brother had taken his own life. He also left a note saying, "I can't take it anymore." This was the moment that completely changed Max's life. As he was a very good painter, since childhood, he had been venting his anger by graffiti on walls. One night, Max was on the roof of a shop, graffitiing when police arrived and apprehended him. Instead of going to jail, Max was sent to a foster home for elderly people. There, he had to clean. He had to help them and behave well, or he would be sent straight to jail. When Max arrived at the foster home, he noticed an old man peeking out from a window. The workers there explained the task to him and strictly told him that he was forbidden to go to the 4th floor, where serious patients were kept there. This was the same 4th floor where Max had seen the old man peeking out. The next day, when Max went to collect his cleaning supplies, he found a statue resembling a human. So, in a fit of fun, he gouges out one of his eyes. Then he begins his work, collecting garbage from every room. Following his principles, he knocked on the door before entering each room. But one room didn't answer, so he went inside. There, he saw an old man and woman wearing masks and behaving strangely. This didn't sit well with him. A woman, Norma, came to him for a towel. Max was new, so Norma started talking to her. Just then, a woman standing in the pool suddenly started bleeding profusely from her head. It turned out she had undergone a skin treatment, and the stretching had caused her skin to tear. That night, while Max was sleeping in his room, he heard a lot of faint voices in his dream. He woke up hearing these voices. Just then, he heard a loud scream from inside the vent, which frightened him. Then, he saw a thought door to his room was open. He had closed it before going to bed. His first day wasn't particularly good. So, the next day, everyone welcomed him warmly. Among them were some elderly residents, the manager, Norma, and 2 workers. Finally, Max met the doctor, who praised Max's eyes. That night, as Max slept, the same lady from the mask came to sleep beside him, waking him up. Immediately, the lady plunged a knife into his stomach. At that moment, Eamon came and grabbed his neck, and that's when he woke up. This time, he was truly awake. He couldn't sleep anymore, so he wandered aimlessly. He spotted an elderly couple dancing at night, as it was their anniversary. As Max was leaving, he heard another scream from the vent. Just then, Norma came to him and took him to her room. In the room, Max found a small cup, which made him feel like he had seen it somewhere before. Norma explained that it was built by a friend who lived here but died a few years ago. Then, as he was busy working, he heard another scream from the vent, and this time, he couldn't resist. He started to take the elevator upstairs, but he didn't have access to the 4th floor, so he took the stairs. He was already an expert at picking door locks. He easily opened the door and went inside. Once inside, he saw several sick elderly people sitting in wheelchairs, with TVs on in front of them. They all looked listless, sad, and lifeless. He didn't know what was happening to them. He was sick, but his eyes were bleeding, as if he were crying tears of blood. The man Max had seen in the window was also sitting there. Upon seeing Max, he came screaming and pounced on him. It was only because the workers arrived on time. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened. Max should have been reported for this, but this time, the doctor gently consoled him, saying he wouldn't get a chance to explain himself next time. That night, Max met Norma again, and told her everything about the fourth floor. But Norma said, "You can't do anything for those people. Forget about you. No one can do anything." But who was so stubborn that he went upstairs again. This time, the man was standing in a corner, and as soon as Max approached, he strangled Max with his intestines. Then, everyone there ripped open their stomachs and let out the vomit. But the good thing was, it was just Max's dream. The next day, Max saw Norma arguing with Doctor and the worker. Seeing this, Max goes to talk to Norma and tells her to get out of here as quickly as possible. This place is absolutely not right. She can't say anything more. Someone had already arrived, forcing Norma to leave. But she had said something serious. Something Max already suspected. He thought about it deeply, and finally went to Norma again to talk to her. But this time he couldn't because the nurse told him that Norma had been admitted because she wasn't feeling well. She would be kept under observation that night. So Max somehow made it through the night. The next morning, while cleaning outside, he saw the same old man upstairs, trying to write something with his blood after cutting his finger. But he couldn't write clearly. Before Max could understand anything, Norma fell straight onto the barrier and died a painful death in front of Max. The doctor revealed that Norma had taken her own life. A note was found in her room, in which she had written that she was going to meet her son, meaning she was going to die. Max was deeply saddened by Norma's passing, as she had been his only true friend. However, Max's dreams continued. But that night, when he woke up, he found a UV light near the door. Turning it on, he saw a message written on the wall: "Find the marked one." Upon reading this, Max began searching, and first went to the manager's room, where he found an X mark on his neck. This meant the manageress, also one of the marked ones. Max began to notice that many people there repeatedly axed their necks, and each time they touched their necks, it meant they had the same mark. Max secretly went to Norma's room to look for clues. Among Norma's belongings, he found half a painting she had made, the small cup, and Norma's diary, which contained a final note: "Max needs to be informed of the danger here. They come at night with their surgical equipment, needles, and dogs to replace us. Am I next, or is the manager?" Max realized that the manager was also in danger. He quickly rushed to him and saw that the manager was pulling out his own teeth, and this, too, was beginning to resemble the sick people he encountered. Max quickly summoned help, and the doctor treated the manager and cured him. If Max hadn't arrived, it would have been too late. Now, Max was determined to first find out about the doctor. So, headed some research on the doctor and learned that he had been fired from a hospital for performing dangerous eye surgeries and therapies related to brain aging. Max was reading about it. Weena, series of notifications appeared on his screen, accompanied by software downloads, and a live broadcast began. There was a girl whose face was disfigured. She was trying to talk to him, but the connection was cut, and screams started coming from upstairs once again. To unravel the secrets of this home, Max ordered several small cameras and hid them one by one in various locations, allowing him to view the footage directly in his room. Among them were some cameras that could identify the people in the mart who were likely to be in danger. Max also spoke with the woman from the live stream and learned that she had placed the UV light in Max's room and could see Max, meaning his entire room. She didn't say much because her own life was in danger. She simply said, "Help me, help them, help me, help them." Before that, she turned the others into monsters. Norma had become too knowledgeable, so she was removed from the way. And so will you. That's all the information she can provide. Max now sees on camera that the old man from the fourth floor has left, and after tampering with the camera, he moves on. Later that night, Max sees Eamon with a scar being taken to the basement, where a man with a dog is already present. Max follows them downstairs, but he can't see anything. All he can make out is that the doctor is performing some kind of gruesome surgery. Just then, the man with the dog spots Max, so he immediately runs back upstairs to his room. The woman from the live stream was already in the room. She told Max that the government is using this place to test drugs on these old people. First, They test on animals, then on humans. These old people are the ultimate targets for testing because if they experience any side effects, the matter is hushed up because they are old. There are many other such homes operating across the country where the same thing happens. She says, "My dad used to live in this home, but now he's locked up on the 4th floor. I want to free him and everyone else. I need evidence, which only you, Max, can gather, because you live here." With this, she starts to leave. Butas, the door opens. The same old man appears. He attacks her. Max intervenes, causing him to faint. The worker tells her that a patient fell down from the 4th floor and is the one who harmed her. But don't worry, the doctor will thoroughly examine you today. With this, she goes to call the doctor, and as soon as she leaves, Max also escapes. When he arrived at his parents' house, he discovered that they had adopted 2 more girls. Max's mother was inquiring about his well-being, uttering the same line Norma used to say, "A heart knows a heart," implying that Max's parents must have had something to do with the situation. Afterward, both parents want to meet with the judge to prevent Max from receiving a harsh sentence. After they left, Max searched the house, but found nothing. Then, the 2 girls came to Max and wanted to tell him a secret. They had been holding it for ages. They led him to a secret room behind the cupboard, which seemed to be a ritual room. In the place where magic is performed, Max also had a miniature model of the cup, the same one he had with him, the same normal cup, and most importantly, there was a statue of a Roman goddess. There was also an old photo album there, containing pictures of the foster home residents. And surprisingly, Max's mom and dad were among them. The photos appeared to be from a party, with everyone dressed in black. However, in the middle was a young child dressed in white. There was a gap of about 3 years between each photo, but the people were the same and looked almost identical to the old photos. In other words, there was no difference in their ages. They weren't getting older, but the child in the middle was different every time. The children looked as if they had become lifeless, their lifespans drained from them. So, it turns out that the people in that foster home are affiliated with a cult, a satanic group that worships Roman goddesses to remain young. Every few years, they take the life of a young child. Max's real shock came when he learned that his stepbrother was among those children. He hadn't taken his own life, but his mom, dad, and Vacchio had sacrificed his life. His parents adopt children so that they can enjoy their youth when they grow up. And the same thing is about to happen to the 2 new girls who have arrived. But Max decided, "I won't let this happen," and he went straight to the home. Then he went to the 4th floor and met the old man, knowing that the old man was none other than his brother. His brother hadn't attacked him that day, but was trying to save him. All the patients on the 4th floor are young children whose health was taken away. Now they are in such a state that their lives are completely destroyed. They have become old at a very young age. They can't even speak. That's why that day, his brother was trying to write with his blood. Before Max could do anything to them, a worker came and caught him. When he opened his eyes, he found himself sitting among the same people, dressed in white. This meant it was his turn to go to the 4th floor. Now it turned out, that everything the woman on the live stream had told him was a lie, because she was the wife of the doctor here. This meant the government's testing was a lie. There was no Mark 1. And now we know how these people stay young. They look old, but their age doesn't seem to be increasing. They've been like this for many years. One is 109 years old, another 114. Another 128, and another 193. To stay young, they need these children's nectar, a liquid located behind the eye. It's considered a source of youth, but it diminishes with age. That's why they drink nectar from the eyes of young children, so stay young. Ever since Max came to this home, nectar has been being extracted from his eyes every night, and he doesn't even know it. That's why every night he's suddenly awakened. And the dreams he sees aren't even dreams, but memories. They slowly extract nectar like this, but when their enjoyment is complete, or the child discovers their true nature, they extract all the nectar at once, draining the child of all their energy, life, and youth. leaving them lifeless and old. Then they rot on the fourth floor, and a new child comes after them. Usually, they feed on the same child for many years. Because the nectar is constantly regenerated in young children, the doctor removed almost all the nectar from Max's eyes and sent him upstairs, and now they will continue to extract a little nectar from them, just like they do from everyone else's. That's why their eyes keep bleeding. But Max's brother won't let this happen. He broke a wire from his wheelchair and used it to poke out the eyes of every child present, collecting their nectar. He then gave Max all that nectar, which brought him back to life, much more than before. Now, a storm had broken out outside, and another was inside Max. As soon as the worker came up, Max repeatedly stabbed her, killing her. Then, he picked up a tool, unwrapped havoc. He was inflicting a horrific death on everyone he encountered. One by one, he killed them. His parents were running for cover, but the two died after being severely caught in the storm. After killing them all, he extracted the nectar from everyone's eyes and freed the people on the fourth floor by giving them the nectar. Then, with his brother, he escaped. Now, those who had done the evil deed are dead, and although they may look old, they will be young inside as before. And with this, the film ends.